Hi, thank you for joining this webinar. My name's Mark Duckworth. What I hope to do this afternoon is just show you that if you already have Office 365, then I think Dynamics 365 is the next logical step. Or even if you don't have Office 365, I'd love to talk to you about Dynamics 365 and how it can help you in your business. So what I want to get through is just briefly on the Artis Group, what we do and who we are, a bit on Office 365 and a bit more on Dynamics 365, and then I want to explain on how these are very tightly integrated. And this is where Microsoft are winning in this space, in these business solutions with the integration with all their other products. So let me dive in and just briefly say that the Artis Group are a gold Microsoft partner. We help customers with a lot of Dynamics 365. They're just a snippet of some of the awards we've won, but we would welcome the opportunity to chat further with you on these business solutions. So Office 365. Most people I speak to these days have Office 365, and in fact, it's quite strange. Most people have Office 365 but use mail only. They've got no idea what else is in the suite that they are purchasing. And in fact, they might use mail through Office 365. They've got files on a server in the corner. They've got a CRM on another server, and they've just got the disparate systems all over the place. And I'm sure you're all probably nodding your heads thinking, yep, that's us. Well, basically with Office 365 and Dynamics 365, there's an answer on how you can solve that. Obviously Office 365 comes with the Office apps, that we know and love, Outlook, Word, Excel and PowerPoint, but it also comes with the services such as Exchange Server, SharePoint Server, Yammer, Skype for Business, and all these solutions that you're using in your business. Again, whether you're using SharePoint or Yammer or even Skype for Business, I'd love to be able to help you with that if you're not. But let me just drill down into what Dynamics 365 is. And Microsoft used to have a Dynamics team. I know it pretty well because I used to be in that team at Microsoft, and they had Dynamics CRM, customer relationship management, and they also had ERP, enterprise resource planning solutions, there for big major manufacturing solutions, etc. What they've done with Dynamics 365 is they've brought those together and developed a integrated set of business apps. And I'm going to explain more about what each of these are, but more than that, what they've done is they've tightly integrated it with all their other solutions. And I mentioned Office 365, but also Power BI. Not sure if you've heard of it or using it, but if you've got multiple disparate data sources, with Power BI you can pull all that data together and munge it around, and in fact you can show the results through Dynamics 365 very easily. And it's all built on a common platform, which means you've got one single source of the truth. That's the beauty of it. You don't have multiple data sets all over your business. No one knows what's the latest correct data, whereas with this combination of Office 365 and Dynamics 365, it's all central and in one place. So let me just go through very quickly. And Dynamics 365 is made up of different applications. Dynamics 365 for sales, and if your business does anything to do with sales, so you're getting leads in the door, you're managing accounts, customer accounts, interactions with them, and then you're developing opportunities with them through to close, you probably should consider Dynamics 365 for sales. I think it's a must and makes your sales methodologies work so much better, a lot better than a lot of businesses I see today with spreadsheets, etc., and how they're trying to manage it all. It also integrates tightly with Outlook, which I'll show you a bit further. Dynamics 365 for customer service. If you've got customers that need to call into you and you're managing cases for customers, inbound call centers, etc., then this is what you would look at. This was a great way of managing each of those cases and tracking them through to resolution to get happy outcomes for your customers. And of course, Dynamics 365 for field service. basically for companies that have got people out in the field doing different roles. So whether it be plumbers or tradesmen, or in fact we do quite a bit of work with solar energy companies where they've got guys in trucks installing solar panels with businesses and with customers, and they've got to manage the assets on the trucks, the time of those people, where they are. They've got to take photos and upload back into Dynamics 365, and the people back in the office can schedule those people's movement around the city or the country for that matter, wherever they may be. Great solution, and we're seeing a lot of customers now using that. Dynamics 365 for project service automation is another great solution if you're managing large projects, or any projects for that matter, where you've got tasks to do, you've got resources that you've got to allocate on time and budget. Microsoft developed Microsoft Project in the early days. Well, this is now the big kahuna, and it will drive all your projects on time and on budget. Great solution. And of course, marketing. Microsoft at the moment previously had a portion of marketing, but they didn't think it really justified as a marketing app. So they've held it back, and they're redeveloping it at the moment, and it won't be available till the end of 2017 or end of this year. But at the moment, Microsoft have teamed up with Adobe, and the Adobe Digital Marketing Suite, which is rated as one of the best marketing solutions on the planet. They're now integrating it tightly with Dynamics 365. So definitely worth considering if you're looking for marketing solutions right now. And of course, Dynamics 365 Financials. This is another solution that Microsoft coming out. It's actually out in the US at the moment, the US and Canada, but because of localization with GST, etc., it's not here in Australia, won't be out till the end of the year, but it will integrate tightly with Dynamics 365. Great solution. And the big kahuna of all these, Dynamics 365 for operations, if you are big into manufacturing or even retail, and you've got sort of big systems that you're trying to manage and processes, then Dynamics 365 for operations is what you're looking at. So here we are. We've logged in for those people that may or may not have logged into their Office 365 portal. This is something like you'll see if you log in to a portal, and you'll see you've got your mail and your calendar and your people or your contacts and Yammer, etc. If you bought Dynamics 365, you'll see a button there with Dynamics 365, which shows you how integrated it's sitting all in the same environment. And so it makes it very easy to be able to use and access. So what I'd like to do now is show you how it is integrated with Office 365. So now Exchange Server. This is the bit that manages all your mails, your tasks, your calendars. Most people probably think of it more as Outlook. Outlook's the end client that you're driving it with, but Exchange Server sits at the back end of that, and it is tightly integrated with Dynamics. And let me just show you. Here I am. I come into work and I kick up my Outlook, as I do every day, probably too often, and here I've got an email from Mary, new customer who's interested in Dynamics. But what you'll find, because I own Dynamics, here I've got a button up here that pops out a window when I click on it, and I can then add information about this potential lead to Dynamics. So if I click on Add to Dynamics, I could, if I knew Mary, I could add her as a contact. If I don't, in this case I don't, I could add her as a lead. And I can add that lead, and it will pull information into this window, or I can add other information that doesn't appear. And then I can save that. And of course, I can then go to schedule a phone call with Mary. So I want to, in my tasks, I need to know what I'm going to do. I'm going to schedule a phone call. So I add phone call, and I click here on a drop down date, add any relevant information, and I then save that. And finally, once I've had that phone call, I want to schedule an appointment with Mary. But I also need to bring a resource, one of my pre-sales resources in, and I can click here for additional people, and I'm going to pick Alina, who's one of my CRM specialists, and I'll add her in there, and I'll save that. Of course, I could pick all the right dates and times, duration of the meetings, etc., and I'll save that. So what I've now done is I've created this phone call task and a calendar meeting, and it's connected straight through to Dynamics. And by the way, if I click over for those people that do use tasks, and surprisingly I know a lot of people that do, you'll see that it's tightly integrated right here. It picks up the tasks there, and of course calendar. From what I've just done, I've also created an appointment with Mary in my very busy calendar here. I wish it was this busy. So I just wanted to show you very briefly on how that integration with Dynamics and Outlook and all those exchange mail and tasks. But let me go a bit further than that. I'm back in my portal here and I click into my mail here. You'll see this is now looking at Outlook web access. In other words, I'm looking at my mail through a web portal, and I didn't have to do anything, but because it recognizes I've got Dynamics 365 as well, it actually incorporates this information straight into that mail, and I can see that I've got an activity, a phone call, and a meeting, etc. straight in there. And also, if I then go straight from my portal, I'll go back to the portal and I'll kick straight into Dynamics 365. I'll go here through a dashboard. Now I won't labor or go on about this dashboard because I've recorded some previous webinars that are on our blog at artisgroup.com.au, and you'll see a lot more information on these. But for now, I'm just going to go straight up to the menu here and go to my leads. And if I click into leads, there in my Dynamics is this Mary New Customer who I've done nothing more than answering an email and adding a few little clicks of buttons. If I click into Mary New Customer here, you'll see here's information in Dynamics now that I've captured, and here's those tasks, those emails and calendar appointments and phone calls that I've added, and this is all coming through that Exchange integration. So hopefully you can see how it makes life a lot easier. You don't have to get there and cut and paste information or retype information all the time. One thing also, as is common now these days, this solution works across any device, anywhere, iOS, Android, Windows, so there's no limitation. That's the beauty of all these Microsoft solutions. And if I just quickly show you, here's my phone, and if I've got a Dynamics 365 app there. If I click on it, you'll see that there's that phone call, and as well, if I swipe, I can actually see the appointment there and all the relevant mails if I go further. But basically now I can see the information from anywhere, any device, and I can keep synced up about that opportunity quite easily. Okay, so now let's dive into SharePoint. And again, I'm not sure how many people are actually using SharePoint. I've got customers with Office 365 using the mail, but they've got all this SharePoint potential, but they've still got all their files sitting on a server in the corner, which is a bit of a shame really, because there's a lot of limitations to that. But SharePoint is that ability to be able to have files, your working files, and people to be able to access them from anywhere, and people to work collaboratively on the same documents at the same time, if you like. Great solution. Keen to talk to you more if you're interested. We do a lot of work in SharePoint, setting up full intranets, etc. But let me go back to my portal, and you'll notice, by the way, this is a bit later on in my day, and I've created some information. These are pulled straight out of SharePoint as well, and put right on my Office 365 portal. If I click into Dynamics again and I go into my active accounts, you'll find that there's Aardvark Industries, where Mary's from, and if I click onto that, basically what I can now do is if I click on the button up here, you'll see I've got documents over here, and I can actually click onto those documents, and I've actually created some documents while I've been working with Mary on this opportunity, and these documents aren't within Dynamics 365. They could be if I wanted to, but I've now created these on my Office 365 SharePoint, and you'll see it says right there they're on SharePoint. I can create a new one if I like. I could click there and I could create a Word document, Excel, PowerPoint, right from there if I wanted to. You'll notice this menu, by the way, very limited, but if I click on a document now, and you'll see that the menus change, and this is what happens with Dynamics. There's all these dynamic menus that change depending on where you are. I could even check this in, check this out, which is a SharePoint ability to be able to lock files so other people can't override them. You can have versioning control. You can do a lot of things, which makes it very powerful. If I get there and want to open one of these documents, it will now open it into, you'll see Word Online. So this is not full Word on your desktop, although I could edit in a document and download it to my desktop, but this is now, I can edit this in a browser basically. And just to wrap up the story there on SharePoint, you'll see that there's my SharePoint team site that I've got. If I click into that now and go to that SharePoint site, you'll notice that those documents are also stored, or that is the document stored right there in SharePoint. I can share these with other co-workers. I could share them externally. I could have controls right down to the file level so no one can see them or the whole company can see them, etc. Very powerful if you really want to get further into it. And that integration with Dynamics makes it very workable and great to use. Okay, so moving right along and just conscious of getting through the information I have, Yammer. Not sure how many people here actually use Yammer. I'm sure everybody on the call use Facebook, but Yammer is basically the business version of a networking tool where you can create posts, you can share information across the organization or even externally, and it actually gives you access to all the IP within your company. So if you don't know the answer to something, you can make a post in Yammer and hopefully someone within your business can come back and point you in the right direction. Great tool. We use it sort of by the minute here at the Artis Group, and I know a lot of the businesses I deal with use it regularly. But let me just dive back into that Aardvark Industries account in Dynamics 365, and what you'll notice on the toolbar here is Yammer. If I click on Yammer, you'll see that what I've done previously is I was looking for a pre-sales person to help me with Mary and this opportunity, and so I created a post, and it basically creates a link straight to this account right here. And Jane Smith in my organisation, who's a pre-sales guru, happened to look at this, and she said she'd like to help out on this opportunity. And by the way, if I jump out of this and go straight to Yammer, you'll see there's that post and information that Jane posted as well to help me. That information is basically stored right there in both Yammer and also as it pertains to the account, in this case Aardvark. So if I clicked on that Aardvark Industry, it would take me to Dynamics 365 to that opportunity or to that account. So really great integration, and it makes information sharing so much easier for you to do. OneNote. I don't know how many people on the call use OneNote, but I couldn't live without it. I use it all the time on my phone, on my tablet, on my desktop, and it's basically the ability for me to be able to post documents, information, photos, anything I need. Rather than trying to scribble it on a post-it note somewhere, I put it all in different folders and subfolders within OneNote, and it makes my life very easy. So likewise, back under Aardvark Industries, you would have noticed, or maybe you didn't, but there's a OneNote menu option here. If I clicked on here, Mary sent me their product list that she wants incorporated into their Dynamics 365 solution. So what I did just in this instance, before we haven't actually integrated their solution yet and put it in, but what I've done is I've got their product list, and if I click on that, you'll see it takes me straight into OneNote, and there's their Aardvark Industries, by the way, sell ice creams to Eskimos. So basically there it is there, and you've got information you can keep in one place, and it makes life easier rather than have documents all over on the Z drive or somewhere else on your C drive. This is all in a central place that other people can access. And just to wrap up the story, Skype for Business. Now, hopefully you're familiar with Skype for Business. We're actually using it right now. This is how I do a lot of my daily business. I can send instant messages to anyone within my organisation or externally. I can create a phone call to those people, or even have a web conference. And so when I'm doing presentations, I'll use it. I can connect with my customers and do a bit of a similar presentation rather than me having to jump in the car and drive for an hour and a half to try and go and meet with them, etc. I can do it all from my desktop. So Skype for Business, if you aren't using it, please, start using it, or come and talk to us and we can help you out. So once again, and just to finally back in Aardvark Industries within Dynamics 365, what I want to just show you, for example, I've got there Jane Smith, and I'm just using her as an example. If I hover over Jane Smith, you'll find that her Skype for Business profile card pops up. I could click on here and instant message her. I could make a phone call, or even start a video conference straight from here. I could do the same with Mary if I needed to as well. And if I jump up here just to show you, and I go down to my contacts, this is where that whole presence information flows through from Skype for Business through to Dynamics 365. And again, I could click on one of these and create an instant message interaction with that customer, or I could create a phone call, and that phone call, by the way, then gets tracked in your activities within that customer. So that integration with Skype for Business is sensational, and if you've got Office 365, you've got it today, and then adding Dynamics 365 is quite simple to do. So just to round out the story, I just wanted to wind back to the Outlook that we started with, and we all started off this webinar with Outlook. What you may not have noticed down the side here was a folder, and if I clicked on that, you'll see that it pops out. And this here, if I clicked on the opportunities, this is information straight from my Dynamics 365. I'm seeing the opportunities that are now straight in Dynamics 365. If I clicked on my dashboards, for example, I quickly skimmed through that before, but here's a dashboard with information straight out of Dynamics 365, and there's my activities, etc., that I'm carrying out. So I wanted to round out the story to show you how that whole integration across those Office 365 solutions with Dynamics 365, and especially Outlook, that people spend so much time in. You do not have to use Outlook to use Dynamics 365. You can do everything right from here, which is a very good story, not only for your staff. That whole change management solution is not a big drama, because they already do this on a daily basis. So great solution and great integration there. So just to wrap up, what I've tried to sort of highlight to you today is Office 365, which you may or may not have today. All these applications and services integrate tightly with Dynamics 365 across the one platform, and all with a single data source, so you've got a single source of the truth. So basically, if you do have Office 365, we would welcome the opportunity to talk to you about adding Dynamics 365 onto that. So just what I wanted to finish up with was want to share with you that we do have an easy step into Dynamics 365. We have a quick start offering where we can get you into Dynamics 365 with a bit of a fixed scope, fixed price implementation, and I'd welcome the opportunity to talk to you on that. Again, we offer planning sessions where we can come out and talk to you and work out how we can help you get into some of these solutions. And of course, without a doubt, please contact me and our team if you've got any further questions. Next webinar we're running in September, we'll be talking about the Microsoft relationship sales. I'm not sure if you're aware, but Microsoft now own LinkedIn, and they've now integrated LinkedIn Sales Navigator with Dynamics 365, and it all integrates beautifully. Think about Mary connecting with me. I've never met Mary, but LinkedIn will determine if any of my LinkedIn connections, how far removed I am, and who there else is within Mary's business that I could potentially get influence through to Mary. And so there's a lot more to that story, but a great solution and well worth looking at. And I mentioned very briefly before, but I have run some previous webinars on Dynamics 365, and I've scooted through a lot of it now. But please, a lot more information on our blog on the artisgroup.com.au website. both on an overview on Dynamics 365 for sales, for field service, etc. And well worth getting your head around, and keen to talk to you some more. So just to wrap up there, thank you very much for joining me. Hopefully it's giving you some great insights into this whole Microsoft Business Solutions and where it's all heading. I would welcome the opportunity to chat with you further, and love to answer questions, love to see how I can help you. There's my information, and please don't hesitate to send me a mail or give me a call, and look forward to talking to you further.